Did you hear that? Errors and omissions. It's not criminal inflow and outflow. Errors and omissions. So whenever you're reading these statements and you see that, that's accounts for the criminal money, for lack of Obodo Igbo language. You're going to do fraud, akboroka, what 419, why you? The same 419 they call Nigerians that they are. They've been doing it while we are sleeping, before our forefathers were born. So, but they have English name for it. Errors and omission. The same way they will go and steal money, they will call it money laundering. So when you sit in your house, you're hearing money laundering, you're thinking they're washing the money and they're gonna bring it back clean. Oyibo. How go wayo? When they commit crime, they call it embellishment. They will embellish the word. Anyway, you will be speaking, you will be calling Jesus to come and bless the work of their hands. So it's been ongoing. Errors and omission. We should mark that.
In the 1960s and 70s, Britain was faced with a similar dilemma as the United States. Money was flowing out, and this decreased the value of the pound. Britain realized that it, too, could support the value of its currency by opening its domestic markets to the trillions of dollars passing through its offshore havens. But just as in the United States, this had an unexpected side effect.
The British banks today, just as in the 19th century, don't put their money into British manufacturing. They put their money into real estate speculation, into financial speculation, foreign currency trade. So the financialization of London has helped deindustrialize the country because it's enabled sterling to be supported by this huge inflow of hot money, this inflow of drug dealing money and criminal money and tax evasion money all over the world that is going to London instead of going to Switzerland, Liechtenstein, or the Caribbean.
With the silent backing of the United States, Britain's offshore havens grew rapidly. And before long, the offshore system developed into the world's dominant international financial market. Few were aware how this market functioned. In 1986, economist John Christensen went offshore to investigate. He applied for a position at the Jersey office of one of the world's major accounting firms.
But Deloitte & Touche, I was working in what's called company and trust administration, straightforward offshore stuff. I went offshore specifically to work in that area because that's where you're dealing with the offshore companies, the shell companies, the offshore trusts, and you're administering them. That way I could see from working inside a big global accounting firm exactly what the clients were doing.
I had complete access to all the client files. And over the course of my period of working with Deloitte & Touche, I investigated over 100 of their clients offshore, and this is what I found. There were some insider traders, some market rigging, some avoiding disclosure of conflicts of interest, illicit arms trading, illicit political campaign donations, contract kickbacks, bribery, fraudulent invoicing, trade mispricing, and at the bottom, tax evasion. Okay? This is what the clients were doing.
The basis of a sample of the clients that I looked at, not a single client was involved in what I would regard as genuinely legitimate activity. They were all involved in some kind of tax dodging or worse.
I met with Carl Levin. He used to be an American senator, and he made a lot of inquiries into private banking, asking questions to the bankers. What do you think the percentage is among your clients that are using these companies for legitimate purposes? And the answer was, I believe that 99.9% of my clients are using these companies for illicit purposes. This is a reality. This is American bankers telling what they are doing. And it's exactly the same thing with UK bankers helping their clients to have accounts in Panama or in Bermuda or in Cayman Islands.
Secrecy jurisdictions are heavily used for fraudulent and grey area financial activities. areas where secrecy is not just desirable, but a necessity. Legitimate financial activity has no need for the secrecy offshore havens provide, nor a desire to pay the high fees offshore banks and law firms charge. Today, close to half of the world's secrecy jurisdictions are British dependencies. In public, these jurisdictions claim they are transparent and their financial services sectors are engaged in legitimate financial activities.
Our economy is not based on secrecy. It's based on transparency. It's based on a sound regulatory environment. It's based on good governance and good government with a British government legal system. That's what our financial institutions.
You see one of the puppets, right? You can tell when you see them. They will be speaking the language of the master, and you will see them with the expensive glasses and their Versace suits and everything, and they have the decorative offices, and they will sit there and deceive our people, because you sit there, if you happen to have an Igbo name, some person might say, oh yeah, he's Igbo, he's there, he's representing us. My dear, it's about time we wake up and understand that these people are representing themselves. They are never for you. When they go to Harvard, Yale, all these big Ivy League school, my dear, they are there for themselves. They are not there for you. If you think about it, if they are there for us, how come our lives have not changed? How come nothing has happened to impact our lives all this time that we've been living? Nothing. But they've been there, they've been sharing, they've been knowing each other. Look at him. He's there talking jazz when we know that everything that came out of his mouth is a lie. But of course, they have to use someone that looks like you so that you're not in doubt about who is doing you. But we know there's somebody behind that is definitely pushing this puppet that we are listening to right now.
Institutions are based on.
Well, tonight we have a response from the head of Cayman Finance after a group of U.S.-based anti-tax evasion activists announced plans.
Please continue to help us to share. They are knocking people off and on. Somebody just texted me. They've been trying to log in. They can't. So please help us to continue to click that like button. This is what they do. They don't want us to get this information. They want us to, now what are we doing? You know, I go chop your money dancing when our lives are on fire. So please, as you're watching, help us to share and hit that like button so that we can knock off this stupid algorithm. Thank you.
To travel to Cayman.
Hi, below. The commercial people are here. Let's see. Do I even know how to do this? Let's see. Give me a minute, y'all. I am trying to, and it's one of those ones that must run. Like I can't fast forward it. So let me just mute it and skip. Okay. So I'll bring it back up. Thank you for your patience.
Chairman, Mr. Richard Cole, says he's encouraging the group to visit and says our financial sector has nothing to hide.
I would say if anybody wants to come to Cayman to find out what's coming, you know, what we do here, come on down.
Criminal.
We have no secrets here.
Mm-hmm.
When I went to the Cayman Islands back in 2008, I think it was, I called the government spokesman and he said, okay, we have had an order from on high that nobody is allowed to speak to you. You are off limits.
In 2011, journalist Nicholas Shaxson released Treasure Islands, a groundbreaking book about the offshore system.
The author of a series of international media reports says he would welcome a debate with Cayman Finance Chair Tony Travers. Mr. Travers recently called Nicholas Shaxson an imbecile with the understanding of an 11-year-old.
There are always going to be the politics of envy. Now, the politics of envy are exacerbated by imbeciles who don't actually understand what's going on in the Cayman Islands. I don't know what he's talking about. And furthermore, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
The Cayman Islands is the 5th largest financial center in the world. It hosts 80,000 registered companies, over 3/4 of the world's hedge funds, and $1.9 trillion in deposits. It has a population of 60,000, roughly equivalent to New York's homeless population. A strange mixture of characters populate the offshore world. British ex-public schoolboys, members of the world's intelligence services, global criminals, assorted lords and ladies, and bankers galore. With so much at stake for so many wealthy and powerful individuals, it may come as no surprise that Britain's offshore havens have developed their own curious mechanisms to prevent information from leaking out.
For many people who work offshore and who don't like what they're doing, it's very hard indeed to dissent, because they will be attacked personally with a degree of viciousness which is quite extraordinary. Most of the time, the instruments of suppression are relatively sophisticated. You won't get promotion by doing this, or a family won't like it.
It's not generally, let's slam them in prison. That's far too crude. We are talking about very substantially, the establishment, the British establishment in these cases. The mechanisms are very, very subtle. Sort of ostracism is one way of doing it. These peculiar mechanisms for, if someone tries to blow the whistle, you find all sorts of methods that aren't just fire them. You give them far too much work to do. You steer them in a different direction.
One person who is intimately familiar with how suppression works offshore is former Jersey Senator and Health Minister Stuart Sivray. In 2009, he leaked a report on a rogue nurse suspected of killing patients at Jersey's hospital.
It all came to a head during a state's debate on Tuesday the 10th of March. Senator Stuart Sivray brought the sitting to a standstill, claiming Senator Jimmy Pershard had sworn at him and told him to go and top himself. Senator Pershard denied the claim, saying, "I absolutely refute that." But less than a week later, he was forced to admit he had lied. Senator Pershard has now admitted that on another occasion, he did tell Senator Stuart Sivray to go and do everyone a favour and slit his wrists.
I was arrested at my house one morning by 6 plainclothes police officers. There were another 2 specialist data search police officers on hand, and also another 2 police officers in full body armour, one of those battering rams they kind of use in drugs raids. So 10 police officers descended on me without a search warrant. The property was turned over from top to bottom. All of the computers were seized and searched. All kinds of private constituency data was stolen by the police.
Shortly after we began filming, a police officer exited the police station. As he hurried past, he grinned at the camera. The officer was on his way to test the sirens on his motorbike, which he did at intervals throughout much of the remainder of the interview.
When it came to prosecuting me,
Stuart Sivray was prosecuted under the data protection law.
Now, when the authorities were prosecuting me, I claimed that this was a legitimate public.
So this part is a little bit confusing. This is a guy that, is a whistleblower, and basically what they're trying to show us how they're trying to make his life miserable for trying to tell what's going on. So basically that's what is they're discussing here. When you try to speak, they will use all sorts of intimidation to ensure that other people don't come. They will even abandon you. Your friends will neglect you. Nobody will come around you. And then with that, the next person wouldn't want to, become a whistleblower. So I know it's a little bit confusing on this portion.
Yes, Sister Muna, sorry. Can I come in?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, my people, I'm late. It's so strange. I mean, it's so sad how they do these things. Like how our people will say, "Madi Jim Majideji." They don't hold the yam, they hold the knife. They are dictating the tune. They are the ones playing the piper. So whatever they want, and you dare not say anything. Even their own people that want to talk on truth, their own people that want to do the right thing, if they try it, they will come for you. What is that telling us? That we are not going to sit down waiting for people to help us to get our freedom, to help us to liberate our people and our land from these colonizers, because they're very intentional in everything they're doing. There was somebody I was discussing with this during the week. It was like, it's so crazy how the devil is so strategic. Nothing he does is by chance. He sits down, him and his agents, and they work on these things line after line and get these things done. What does that expect from us? What we that we are held down? What does that mean? What does that mean to us? That we cannot do things anyhow. We must sit down and plan or join the plan that is already on ground to free our land, free our resources. We are not going to wish it. Oh, yes, we continue to wish it away. Then one day, things go like Nigerians say, it go better. God day, it go better. No, there's no better that will better you. You and your children will be destroyed, because these people are very determined and are very passionate in their evil and zealous at the same time. Just so let me add that. Please go ahead.
Absolutely.